Hi, this is day 7 of the tarot combos where we draw 2 cards to see how the energies of those 2 cards are interacting. So let's see what's with us here today. Thank you for being here. All right, we have the 2 of Swords. 2 of Swords, challenged by... Oh my God, the 2 of Pentacles. Okay, you guys, I don't know what's up 2026, but every time I draw a combo, it feels like they're meant to be drawn. They're profound. Like yesterday's with the 2, the moon, was it the moon and the magician? I don't even know what day that was. And then the 2 queens and anyway, those are other days. What's here with us today is 2 of Swords by the challenged by the 2 of Pentacles. And it's first of all, the significance of having the 2s are all about so many things. Connection, like when you think about holding 2 things, like what's the connection between those things? What's the connection between you and me? 2 people. And then also balance, weighing 2 things. There's like this this or that kind of feeling, and there's also an element of decision making with the 2s. So we have sword energy, and we have the challenged by the earth energy. So it's like I think about how are we being challenged into this place of balancing things in a very grounded way this year. I say this year because I swear that's an energy that feels like 2026. I need to go into this whole other thought thing I had about numerology and where we are in the 2026 number, not just how it reduces, but 1 through 9 or 0 through 9, and where we are here at a 6. It feels very practical. Like we're being called back into a practicality of how you can work with ourselves instead of against ourselves. There are very practical things we can do for our well-being. That can be one way to think about it. So from a very grounded way, physical reality, we're here in a body, in a world, it is relational. And then we have how is, in what ways is that challenging, this sense of stability that we're trying to gain maybe from how we've been very thought focused, mind identified, deciding only through logic and the brain versus a very felt sense in our body. So that's what this makes me think of. And she is one that actually, she's swords. This is sword, mind, thought, air energy, where she's also being challenged in her own right without this card into tapping into her own intuition. And that's why her eyes are covered. That's one reason why her eyes might be covered, is wait, there's this whole ocean of her intuition right there supporting her, right behind her, that she can tap into at any time. And so it's wait a minute, just tap into this, try to go inward for gaining the wisdom to make those decisions that you're being called to make. But there's also an element of what doesn't want to be seen right now with this blindfoldedness. The hand is over her face. And in a lot of the artwork, she is blindfolded. And sometimes people will say that, yeah, what am I not wanting to face right now? What do I not want to see clearly? See clearly. What am I avoiding perhaps? What am I trying to distract from? And it's, but this is very much a look, arms wide open. Everything's allowed. I'm ready for it. That's the energy of this 2 of Pentacles in this particular artwork. And it's look how smooth those waves are rising up around this person. And it's almost like they're commanding balance. They are bringing it. They're bringing the balance by their intention. They're just being I will it to be so. And it's happening. And so it's we used to think willpower came from my mind. If I could just train my mind can do it. And then when it doesn't happen, this whole willpower thing, then we take it as a personal defect. Oh, I'm so terrible. I did it again. I failed. But this feels like a very felt sense of like, I'm setting an intention, I'm willing it to happen, and look what I can command. Everything comes into my sphere of where I can actually impact. I don't want to say control, but where I actually have an impact on things. Whereas from the mind, we rarely have an impact just through the mind alone. It takes physical action, it takes intention, it takes a felt sense of like getting fired up about like, yeah, I really do want this thing. I really want this to bring this about. Where the mind just sort of feels like, don't you feel like with the mind, you feel like you're doing a lot by thinking, but nothing ever gets done? That's what I think about this too. So where does that show up in your life? For me, oh man, I can plan like a mofo. I was a project manager. I can do all sorts of things without actually doing anything. And so that shows up. I saw residuals showing up in my life. Like, I'm doing so much just by planning it or thinking about it, where it's like, part of us, they I don't know, some people call it that dopamine hit of like, oh, I've gone through all the motion. Like I've done it in my head and that feels good. So it's gotten to the point like, well, I've already done it. I don't actually need to physically do it. I already got my dopamine hit. People talk about that's like a real thing. So where can we balance that out? I think this is calling for balance. If there's any two cards in tarot that are going to show up at the same time and not be about balance, it's not these. This is all about balance. The twos are about balance. Connecting with ourselves, like that whole coming into connection thing. It's like, like to come into connection with this felt sense. It feels like a real challenge to stop the mind. I always call it the mind machine lately. I don't know why, but like to temper this, to slow it down, to try to rein it in a little bit, to say, wait a minute, it's not all about you, buddy. Like, I can actually get stuff done with physical action, with like showing up consistently each day to do a little baby step of something. And that's what matters. That's what builds momentum. And so when I said this year feels like a very practical, like it feels like we're being called into that space of like, show up a little bit every day versus just sit back and let the mind say, look what all I'm doing, and we're not doing anything. And we've all been there, right? It's so common. There's no shame about it. I still do it every day. There's parts of me, like, that's where this shows up for me, is like planning, I think, where I'm like, ooh, it feels good to like plan to do things where I'm like, this will get accomplished in some future unknown time. And then if I don't show up to do the actual physical action to bring it about, it's nothing. It doesn't, thoughts are, they're not anything. Now about intuition, look at all the water here. So if you are somebody who feels like you're being called into a place of really trusting your intuition, this is for you as well. Both of these cards are about trusting your intuition. What does that mean though? Well, it's the thing that says trust. So where do you need to trust your inner voice, right? Because this one has a way of saying it kind of, the seed of doubt gets planted. Like, look how our eyes are covered. So it's like you even doubt your own mind. You doubt what you see. You doubt what you think. And this is like, look how powerful I am. Like, this is one who truly trusts, like, of their own power. They trust in their own power to accomplish things. And it's not accomplished in the sense of like getting stuff done. It's like, what do you deeply desire to do with this one and precious life? And do it. Showing up consistently day in, day out. That's balance. Little baby steps, not big bang efforts. We talked about that too. This is all about, it's the number 2. It's just a little baby 2. Okay, I'm done. Again, this is probably getting ridiculous, but I just feel this just delights me to no end that both of these two showed up, and just what we can learn about in our own world. Like, you are you, I am me. So when I'll just speak for myself. So when I think about the ways that I'm not trusting my own inner voice, I still deal with that like every day, or I try to see it clearly every day, because I was just talking with somebody about this. So let me know if it resonates, especially as a female identifying person through my lifetime, where I'm in the room with men, in a business setting, even in my old career, even in daily life, even sitting in the sauna this morning. I talked about the sauna. And it's like, and then just like as a female identifying person, feeling like, why do I want to add to the noise? My voice never gets heard anyway. And then in that process, I start to doubt my own voice. I don't even know what it sounds like anymore. You know, over years of that happening, it's no wonder at a certain point, like maybe menopause, people like the female identifying people might wake up and say, I'm going through so many shifts, and now my whole physiology is changing. And now we wake up and say, oh my God, I do have a voice, and I'm going to start trusting it. But first I have to know like what it's even saying. What do I like? What does my voice say? So anyway, that's my own lived experience of like, where was I out of balance this whole time? It's always deferring to other people to understand how I feel about anything, how I think about anything. So how do I trust my own voice? So and it's not just females, don't get me wrong. It's a lot of different people. Where do you abandon yourself? I was just talking with somebody about this. That's crazy that this shows up. Because we've lost the ability to hear our own voice. So that's what I mean by intuition. It's just your own voice and trusting what it says. Intuition is usually one of saying like, that rings true to me. Now, am I going to act on it? Because this is about hearing and listening, but then we've got to act on it to truly like build up that trust, that we can trust that intuition. If it's all the time where we're like, well, I hear something, but I don't trust it, so that means I'm not going to act on it, we weaken that muscle of intuition, because I feel like intuition is a muscle. So maybe that's the other lesson here is like, where do we go from, I don't know, I'm not so clear, to, I can do anything I put my mind to, because I trust my voice. I trust my inner power, that seed of power. So, okay, I'm done. Bye.